Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is April 11th, 2021, and I am your co-host, The Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today, we're taking a look at Serious Sam, released in North America March 21st, 2001. And also, if you're watching the videos, technically we're playing the HD version, but it's basically the same game, just looks prettier. And I actually did go back and look at some of the old footage of Serious Sam, and yeah, this looks quite a bit better. I was very impressed with it. What did you guys think?
I didn't go back and look at any of the original. I'm sorry, but I was very pleased with just how smooth this game ran. One of the things I first noticed whenever I loaded it up was just. I know it's an older game. I know that, everything just runs faster, runs nicer. But overall, it was just a very pleasurable experience from the moment I stepped into it.
Yeah, I had played the original, back in the day. Probably not all the way through, but for at least a couple hours. And so I didn't really remember it too well in detail. But yeah, it was great. It was very... everything was up to date. It felt like an old game in the sense it's just very like run and gun kind of Quake, but it had everything else that I would expect.
A lot of large open environments here, and one of the cool things about this game is the single player campaign can be played with, I think, up to 16 players together. Damn. There's a whole host of options. You can have like friendly fire. Different amount of lives, but we played through without any friendly fire and kind of infinite lives, and that was a lot of fun. So we're in the very first level here. I've set up the server, and the level here is the oh boy, there's a temple, an Egyptian-sounding temple, and you basically start out, and there's two areas you can go. There is the temple itself, and then there's a big desert, and you can actually run all the way to the end of that desert and find yourself a cool little secret. And if you do, a bunch of enemies spawn and start firing on you, and it's a cool way to get the game started.
Classic.
Letting you know what it's all about.
A lot of little hidden areas. Some of them with giant-headed developers that pop out and say hello.
In particular. Mm-hmm.
It's great. And this game gets you going real quick with the weapons. So you start out with it's a Schofield 45, and then you also have a military knife. And then pretty soon, right here, we are actually picking up a second of those they're Colts. I guess it's a Colt. And so you're kind of like dual wielding those, and it's great. And a lot of this game is really just circle strafing while firing.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I think Lobos, when you were streaming this when we were playing co-op, and you were like, hey, what's the reload button? And I think someone in chat said, like, there is no reload button. Well, there is, but most guns don't use it. I think the only one that uses it is the Colt here.
Right, yeah.
And so to give you kind of an idea, it's like literally just running around and shooting.
That still didn't stop me from habitually hitting reload over and over and over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
Now, here's a part I really like here. You actually, by the way, if you're looking at the video here, you see a bunch of fruit and vegetables coming out of exploded enemies, and there's a couple different gore options. One of them is like kitty, and I think there's a bunch of like confetti that flies out, and this one is, I think, called hippie, which is a bunch of vegetables that come out. But you come up, and there's over the hill, we have the most notorious creature in the game is the beheaded, what is it called? The Beheaded Rocketeer. Or, sorry, Beheaded Bomber. And it's basically an enemy that has no head, but it's got two bombs on its hands, right? And it screams at you, and everyone that's played Serious Sam recognizes that from the audio. And so you see one coming down the hill at you, and Sam gets kind of cocky. And he's like, ha! He screams back at him. He's like, yourself. And then like 6 or 7 of them come down the hill. And I think that was a really cool moment that it really amped up the excitement there.
Now, with the multiplayer of this, if you were to add up to like the 10 or 16 people, would there have been like more just like flooding over the hill?
I couldn't tell if
I kind of would hope
enemies
so.
came.
You know,
I couldn't tell if more enemies came. I will say there's a bunch of different difficulty levels.
That's true.
And that certainly would increase the enemy. I think we started out on hard mode, and then later on we tried with some of the more exotic modes. One of them being mental. So there's of course a serious mode. And by the way, let's go into a little bit of the story. It doesn't really matter, but I did look it up just because I wanted to be able to explain a little bit about what's going on. So there's this commander. Let's see. There's this commander named Mental. I think his name is Mental, and he's basically taking over the world or something like that. And Sirius Sam has to go back in time. I'm not making this up.
Well,
he goes back in
obvious.
time to I think he has to get some elements from various locations in the world. And I think if I remember right, we're trying to find one of the elements in this temple. And the first 3 or 4 levels are basically finding different elements. You pick up these elements and move them over here and do something else. And I guess that's going to save the world. I don't know. I think in single player they may explain this a little bit more, but honestly, it was just fun to play with you guys and shoot monsters, right?
This kind of reminds me of watching it and thinking about what the gameplay is. It almost reminds me of a non-RPG, faster pace Might and Magic, which we played before, which is just like, but it's also toned down because the whole gameplay is like making sure you're always moving and strafing perpendicular to the things that are, shooting projectiles at you and stuff, and then taking them down. At least the way that I played it, I used a lot of bow and arrow in that game. But yeah, it's just there's a bunch of different enemy types, and it's kind of cool because each one kind of has, not necessarily all of them, but some of them have very unique things that you need to kind of pay attention to. In particular, the guys are. They'll tell you when they're a mile away and you can expect them coming. But when there's a bunch of them, it's kind of interesting to try and use your ears to figure out which one's closest and then turn towards that one and see.
Yeah, sound for me was very
really
much a thing that I needed to have, just the directional sound to know where the enemies were and how close they were. Because even like the skeletons and the bulls that we encountered later on, just knowing like, oh god, there's bulls coming. I need to really be on the lookout for these giant things charging me.
Yeah, I really like the frantic gameplay that occurs when those beheaded bombers come up on you, because if they get too close to you, they'll obviously blow up. And so you want to shoot them before they get too close to you, and occasionally they'll get close to you where you know that if you kill them, they will blow you up. So it becomes this kind of a fun game of like, all right, well, if I can do just a little bit of damage to stagger him, it kind of stuns him for a second, and then I can run away. And that's always fun to try to play with that a little bit. And kind of continuing on the discussion about the enemies there, a lot of them have extremely simple patterns, but what this game does well is it just spawns a ton of them, such that by happenstance, all the patterns coming at you at the same time add for a lot of like, all right, I need to go kill this guy first, step over here, kill these 2 guys, jump over here, and then kill this guy. And it all kind of like, when you know the patterns, it's really cool because you get this like flow of combat, right? Yeah. I'm not demonstrating the flow very well in the video. I'm certainly getting hit. But, it's one of the favorite things I got. So one of the one of the enemies here is, it's a bull, or it's a clear skeleton, which basically looks like a, what does it look like, a bull?
It looks kind of like a bull that leaps at you. It really does.
Yeah, like on 2 legs, right?
Like
you could change your character model. And unfortunately, Lobos decided to be one of those, so we were constantly shooting him.
I'm watching this, and I'm like, "Who's that? Who's that skeleton? Oh, that was me the whole time."
That's why we're trying to kill you.
But one of the things I love doing is those clear skeletons. They charge at you, and at the last minute they jump. And I love sitting there with my double barrel shotgun and waiting to the last minute, and just poof. And the bones kind of like continue flying past my face, and it feels so satisfying when you annihilate an enemy as it's charging you.
Shotguns are a lot of fun
there.
What I really liked doing against the clears was what you're kind of talking about, is learning the attack patterns and just waiting for them to charge and do a little sidestep. It didn't take much to dodge a few of them. You get 5 or 6 of them chasing you. Yeah, there you go, trying to kill Lobos. You get 5 or 6 chasing you. You lose track of which one you just dodged. And
a good example is these bulls that are coming.
Yeah,
these bulls are super easy. Like you take one-on-one, any of the enemies in this game, basically one-on-one, they're incredibly easy to just dodge. Like you said, a simple little to the left or to the right, but often there's so many of them that you're sidestepping right into another bull charging you. So we got to kind of our first boss here. We are in the Valley of the Kings. It looks like that's level number 4. And we made it to just kind of like an open desert in between 2 of the tombs. And this big Goro-looking boss here, he's probably scaled up. You know, if we were to use Sam as a scale, he's probably 20 times larger than him.
Yeah.
And so he's got like these big 4 Goro arms, and he's chucking fireballs at him. And what was really cool is I see, I'm sitting there with like this little gun, just like pew, pew, pew. And then I got the cavalry, Lobos and Alamaxia behind me shooting rockets, just like chunking his life. And I was like, woo, there we go, boys.
Yeah, well, it's one of those games where you'll get like particularly more powerful weapons. And the weapons alone will have their own discussion, I'm sure. But they get pretty ridiculous. And any game where I get a rocket launcher and there's like little enemies, like I'm not going to use them there. I'm going to wait for the big boy and just unleash.
The big boy. Now, we also found water. By the way, water looks fantastic in this game. And there's these fish that will electrify you, but they would like jump out of the water and then like push you in the water. And I wasn't sure if that was intentional, but many times I did get jump attacked by a fish in the water and got killed by.
They had some big knockback,
Yeah, some serious knockback there. I wanted to go real quick back to the story here, just to kind of clarify what's going on. So there is a big conflict in ancient times between Earth and Mental, which was an extraterrestrial being. And so there's another race called the Syrians. They were a technically advanced sentient alien race. I think if we've played Mass Effect, we've heard this one before, right? And this alien race left many of its artifacts that could be discovered by humanity. And so humans are being overwhelmed by the Reapers, Mental and his army, and humanity uses something called the Time Lock, which transports that character back to ancient times, and that character being Sirius Sam.
100,000.
So that's kind of the gist of it.
Nice. You know, that's a really easy way to not have to explain a bunch of stuff like, oh, this ancient civilization had the tech. They just did it. And now you found it and you can use it. So you're like, oh, how? You're like, well, nobody knows. Nobody knows. Like, it just works. Okay, so do it.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Hey, and we just saw there's a portal here. This is one of the first games that I can really remember that had portals. Obviously, we had Prey back in the day. Doom
did teleporters, like floor
okay,
portals.
sure, yeah, but it wouldn't render. So
I see what you're saying.
The portals here were actually
to this other world.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Now it wasn't as when you think about Portal itself, the actual PC game Portal, that was a lot smoother transition where it actually felt like you were moving from one area to another.
Sure.
Seamlessly. This one does kind of just drop you there, so you can tell that there's definitely something pushing you over there, but it does a pretty good job of making it, like Alamaxia said, look like a window to that area next to where you're going.
Just more of that ancient tech.
Yeah. And now, since we're on the topic about technology here, I think it's really worth discussing a little bit about why Sirius Sam was so impactful to the industry. And, in 2001, there was a ton of first-person shooters. And if we look at, we had like Half-Life, we had Doom, we had Quake, many of those using the Doom engine. And Serious Sam was using a different engine. It was called the Sirius engine. One of the advantages of this engine was that it allowed for these very, very large open areas with tons of enemies. And that was a limitation that Doom and Quake had, is when they were making maps, they would construct what's called a BSP, or binary space partition. And what that does is it segments the level into multiple different segments, such that if those segments aren't active or being loaded, it reduces the draw and the memory and all that stuff. And so that works very well when you have a level that is a bunch of narrow hallways and turns and stuff like that. But a new set of technology needed to be written to be able to support these large open environments, because you couldn't just cull out all these things that were not able to be seen. So couple that with the huge amount of enemies. Again, in Doom, they were, maybe 10, 20 enemies if you were lucky. But I think in here, we're routinely seeing 30, 40 in some of the later stages. So serious props, pun intended, serious props to the team for kind of branching out and innovating on that front. Yeah. Now, having said that, I just want one more note here. Having said that, it's unfortunate that there's not a whole lot of things to do in these open environments. It's just like, you just kind of run and you're like, wow, I can run forever, but there's nothing to do here. But that stuff comes later in the games, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was gonna say, is like these super huge areas are pretty unique to see in like a video game, and you're like, whoa, it's huge. And then you spend like 5 minutes running across it, not doing anything, and you're like, oh, it's huge. Like,
great. Oh, I got to go all the way back. Actually,
cool.
we did one thing where we were going to. I wanted to see how far we could run, and I think it did take about 5 minutes. And I was like, you know what? It's just faster if I restart the server than actually running back here. So that's never a good sign when you just like, let's just restart the game. So let's see. I'm trying to see what level we're on right now. Honestly, a lot of them look the same. There's sort of 3 palettes to the game. There's ancient Egyptian stuff. There's
ancient Egyptian night stuff.
Outdoor
oh,
night.
Yeah, there's night stuff too. That's right. And there's like a Mesopotamia thing, more of a city thing. Later
kind
on,
of an
there.
alien spaceship.
Yeah, that's true. Now, unfortunately, I didn't realize there were secret levels in the game, or else we would have tried to do them. But unfortunately, there is 2 secret levels. One is called Moon Mountains. I looked them up. It doesn't actually, you're not like on the moon or anything, so not super impressive. But you can find that off of the Valley of the Kings. And then there is a level called the Sacred Yards after Luxor, which is level 12. So nice. If you are thinking about playing this game, you might want to take a look and see if you can find the secret levels. I actually didn't even look them up how to get there. I just know that they exist.
No spoilers. Yeah, nice.
No spoilers. So very still, thoughtful. You can kind of
I did
have some fun finding those.
Speaking about the levels, I did feel like for this game, the level design and complexity was it. I feel like as the game went, as we got further in the game, the complexity and levels just got less. I don't know if they got on a time crunch, but I feel like there wasn't as much to the level. There was just, we'd walk into a large arena, kill stuff, and then walk into the next large arena. The early levels was a little more corridor. We're going through those temples and trying to find those elements, and I really like the design, and I also like the traps that they set in there. Like they lure you in with that little full health piece. A little while ago, you saw me run in and get trapped in some bars.
That was great.
I loved how the game just lures you in with these little things, like you need this health, but you know the price you're going to pay to come get this.
And when you see a waterfall like we see right now, you know there's going to be something behind there, and sure enough, there is. So that was a big reward there. Now I actually really liked this. Lobos decided to go AFK.
What?
And what we did, we lured some of the bombers. So the bombers will basically, follow you around. And I was like, all right, watch this. And I got it to follow me and then ran right behind Lobos. So the direct line of sight
wow. Rude.
It was the bomber, and it blows up on Lobos. Unfortunately, we weren't able to kill him. He came back and he's like, "Oh, I'm still alive. What the heck?" But yeah, we just. I guess we did get you.
Me.
Yeah, we got you.
Wow.
That was good. So this is a cool area. We are in the Oasis, which is level 5. And a stark contrast to what we were in before, because it's very, very lush green grass here. As you know, as the name implies, there is a little body of water that you can swim around in, and some palm trees. So that was a cool thing. After about 5 levels, changing up the desert motif and getting into some of this, and then we're gonna play in this for a little bit before we go back to the sand there. But yeah, a lot of this, like you said, Alamaxia, is we've been sitting in the same area for probably 15 minutes as hordes of enemies come, and they kind of show their hand early on in the game. Like by level 6, you feel like you've seen pretty much all the enemies, you've seen most of the guns, and now it's just continue doing that and ramp up the difficulty.
More combos of enemies. More of these darn frogs. Oh my gosh.
I do like these little event things they do, though I don't think any of them were particularly difficult. Like they basically make it a boss fight, but instead of a boss, it's just spawning a bunch of enemies and in sequence, and you have to take them all out.
Yeah.
But it's got like a boss health bar to show you like your progress.
Yeah, that latest one, we got trapped in a room with a bunch of these marsh frogs coming up from these like dispensers all around the tops of the room. And those things will blow up when they die or they run into you. But yeah, like you said, it shows a sort of a counter of how many you have to kill. And then once those are all dead, you can move on to the next room.
Oh my gosh, all the frogs. There were a lot of frogs, huh?
I would say probably the frogs were my second most hated enemy.
Is the first what are they? The creels? Clears.
Yep.
Yeah,
those
the
clears.
jumpy skeletons.
I also like the death messages. It says Alamaxia ate a marsh hopper, and then when you respawn, it says you're riding the gun again. Now we just got a minigun. Oh man, this is probably one of my favorite guns. It is the weapon of choice for those pesky harpies. Because the harpies fly in the air. And they're very small. They're small targets, and so that minigun makes short work of them. Also, really great for those headless bombers, who it's always nice to get that chain reaction, right? Where you kind of see them coming, and you line them up, and then you just blow them up with a minigun, and they kind of like blow each other up there.
Yeah.
Some of the other weapons we have here are the grenade launcher. I was not a fan of the grenade launcher. Did anyone like that?
I loved the grenade launcher.
Oh,
that
really?
did.
All right, tell me why.
It did so much damage.
It does,
much damage. If I could line it up and just shoot it directly at one of the other larger mobs, like those more bipedal red guys, I think 1 or 2 took them out, whereas it took several rockets. So I just loved if we got into a room where there was even all those frogs, just don't aim, just throw grenades everywhere. Something's going to get hit. Because
the problem is a lot of times that something was me. I'd end up hitting myself or bouncing off a wall or something. I don't know. I was more of a rocket man there myself.
I like rockets. They're very straight. They're much more straightforward, like literally. But well, I mean not. The grenades go straight, but they gotta bounce around and then hit. I think they would explode if you hit something directly, right? Wouldn't they?
Yes, they would.
Yeah.
Here in the feed, we were just watching. Sorry to interrupt. Here in the feed, we were just watching a very interesting trap that I could not even get to because Lobos and Wiz had to cross this desert, and as they were crossing it, their health just kept dropping and dropping, and they got to this little oasis and fought a bunch of harpies. I could not get over there because I did not have enough health or armor, so I'm just sitting there watching all this happen. And I can't remember if this was the one that we ended up deciding that we were just going to restart and go at it, or if you two were able to actually get back to the middle.
No, yeah.
We got back there.
It was one of the night ones that you start the level and then Wiz just immediately turned around and ran.
You go the opposite direction. You can literally run for like 5 minutes and just hit the edge of the map there.
Yeah.
But no, this is the dunes, and this one's a little bit weird because I have a mechanic that was not shown before, and I don't think they use again, which is like some sort of heat damage.
Yeah,
but I couldn't figure out
damage.
exactly because we're in the desert right now, and we're not getting hit by the sun. But it seems like certain areas in the game had volumes there that if you happen to be running through there, it's like, oh, you're being exposed to the sun. It will start draining your life away.
Yeah, I think the idea was you're supposed to put dunes between you and the sun, but the majority of the stretch didn't have any, so you just kind of had to run it and then hide. And I tested a little bit, and it seemed to work okay, but also just kind of seemed, I don't know, maybe their volumes weren't very accurate.
Now, we just fought a couple enemies there, and actually the cool thing is, like any good game, this was one of the earlier bosses, and now they spawn 2 of them, and now they're normal enemies. This one is an Aludron reptilioid, the Highlander variant. And so this is the Goro thing, the big reptile with 4 arms, and they spawn behind you in the dunes, and they're chucking fireballs at you. And so, yeah, we're going to see a couple more of those coming in through this level and more levels. Thought that was an interesting note there that some of the bosses are coming up. I want to talk about a couple more of the weapons here. There's the Thompson Submachine Gun, and that's like a straight up Tommy gun, right?
That was a
and
good
then you
go-to.
got the that was especially for those marsh frogs. That was a nice balance between ammo conservation and being able to hit those. Then of course you got a single pump action shotgun. You got the double shotgun. And then later on, we're going to get a laser gun. Oh, I guess we got it already.
Yeah, we did, yeah. The plasma gun?
And
was it?
I don't know what it's called. I think I have XL2 laser gun.
Handheld X-Wing.
It is. It's got like 4 barrels. It shoots green lasers and it's pew, 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 pew.
Yeah.
This one's also really good, but I always felt like the ammo was a little less plentiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's electricity. I guess, you're picking up electricity to fire it. And I see Alamaxia just found a secret yodeler. Alamaxia, do you remember what that was? Because I didn't get to see it.
All I did is I think I walked around the corner and I heard a quick yodel, and that was it. I have no clue what triggered that. But
I thought that was a lot of fun that they have.
I recall you guys looking around like, where's the yodeler? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. This game does have secrets that are nonsensical and not worth really finding. Like at one of the levels, there is a single health. You can go pick up the health, and it says like secret trap has been activated, and then a bunch of enemies come and spawn there.
Yeah,
it's like that's not the type of secret I want, but I enjoy that because it just feels more dynamic. It feels like things are going to happen, and designers have played around with your expectations, which kind of keeps you on your toes here.
And the way they hide some of the things, like really around corners that are at the corners of the level, places that you wouldn't expect, like you say, just as someone randomly playing through this game, you wouldn't expect them to go there. But if you have a completionist that loves exploring, you're giving them a reason to find those corners.
Yeah, and one of the level, we actually just beat the Memphis Suburbs, and this one, the structure of the level was there's some concrete, and you have to move the concrete so you can jump down a well. And as I was jumping down the well, I saw a little exit point, and I knew that there was a secret there, but I didn't. I basically missed it.
Yeah,
so
I
like
saw it.
you can, if you move to the wall, if you're falling and you kind of move into the wall there, you can actually go in there. Otherwise, you can just keep falling down. And I missed the little ledge there. I was like, oh no! And you get one shot because once you fall through the well completely, that's the end of the level.
Yeah, it ends the level. And if one person ends the level, then it ends it for everybody else. So.
Did you go back?
Gotta
and
go
yeah,
back.
that made it challenging.
Was you missed there?
I think it looked like it was just health.
Yeah, I saw a health thing, but there might have been more.
That'd have been a really good place to find a secret level.
Oh yeah, but no secret level on this one. That did kind of make the things challenging to record and try to construct a narrative here, because there are sometimes cutscenes would be shown. So for instance, if you flipped a lever, sometimes you'd see something slide, or like you'd complete the level. but it only played that for the person that actually activated it. So if Alamaxia flipped a switch and it had a cool little cinematic thing, only he would see it. So we didn't get to get everything on video here.
I kind of like that because if you're in the middle of like a firefight and somebody's overdoing something, you'd be like, man, but also in the sense that you would have to communicate that to the other people and be like, hey, somewhere there's a button that, we need to just opened up. We got to go press. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
What did it look like? And then you collaborate that way.
Yeah, it totally makes sense for a gameplay perspective. And it's a good point about the combat. You don't want, but you don't want to interrupt the flow of someone's combat there. So I get it.
Yeah.
So we are on the sewers now, and
I love
this is a level where they have a bunch of these. I actually have the name here. They're Reben electrofishes.
Yeah.
Or electrofish. And I guess we just beat the level. So there was a kind of a quick little jaunt into the water there. One of the things that was interesting about that is you swim down for quite a bit, and then the water exits. Mm-hmm. And then you fall through the water back onto solid ground. And here's another thing that's really awesome about Serious Sam is a lot of games would typically do water planes. So the way that they structure their water is they say at this level, say you go like 10 feet down, everything 10 feet and below was going to be water. So if you go 100 feet down, water, 1,000 feet down, water. Mm-hmm. But Serious Sam actually has the ability to define a volume. So you can say like this square, this 10 by 10 square is water, and then they can do some interesting things where you can basically swim through water and then end up below the water, but still on solid ground. And so I thought that was really amazing.
I was so blown away that they were doing that in games this early. And I don't know what I don't know what might have been kind of the first 3D first person type game that has done that, but they did it so well in this because we've already had to kind of go through and swim through areas before. And then we're swimming through this long canal, and then we're suddenly dropped down. That was one of those whoa moments for me.
Yeah. I do know EverQuest in 1999 did have an area with spherical water you could swim in and out.
Nice.
So I'm sure that that was not the first, but very cool to see. And that's still something you don't see a lot today. It's very rarely volumetric. It's mostly just planar.
Yeah.
Now here we have experimented with some of the different difficulty levels. We've got mental here. This one's challenging. And Lobos, do you remember what the difference is? Like what the unique thing on mental is?
I remember that. I think we were like, whoa. I think Alamaxia was like, hey, the enemies are like, disappearing and out on my screen. Like, I think it might be bugged. And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, they're on my screen too. And Fat Wiz was like, no, it looks good on my end. So
because I was the host. I'm like, I must have host advantage. And they're like, I don't know.
Look,
this seems really weird.
But yeah, it's just the mental. I don't know if it's every enemy or what, but they just kind of fade in and out of invisibility. So you have to kind of track them mentally.
That was hard.
Mentally.
Yeah, using your brain.
Yeah, that is some of the enemies actually do have that regardless. If you remember, Doom, they have like the pinkies, and they'll have the shadow pinkies or whatever they're called, where they are invisible.
The specters.
But yeah, this one, if you are in mental difficulty, I think it's all the enemies will do that fade in, fade out. And it's surprisingly challenging because, again, if you lose track of a monster, you have lost track of their pattern, and you no longer know how to dodge there.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where you're like, you're whipping the camera around looking multiple locations, and you might look and like, oh, there's nothing there, and then you look away for a while, and turns out there was a horde of enemies that was just at that point invisible, and you're like, oh, well, heck.
Ultimately, I think I decided that the not being able to see the monsters wasn't really all that fun. And so we scaled it back one difficulties to, I think it's Sirius.
Yeah.
It was still pretty challenging. But at least the monsters didn't fade in, fade out. Yeah. And so that was fun because it was a good balance of just chaos blowing up stuff and still being able to see what you're shooting at.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we kept it on for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is worth noting that there wasn't any real challenge here because we had infinite lives and you could keep respawning. But I think we still played it. Like, we were still trying to get health and ammo and find secrets and stuff. But yeah, again, that was our decision. You can totally say, like, all right, you are only allowed to have 3 respawns and then you got to restart the level. So lots of customability or customization to how you want to play the game, which was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe with 15 people in there, if it's the same amount of enemies, it's like, well, okay, maybe we should put limited lives because
you all get 1. Yeah, and then and you can even turn on friendly fire and make a little battle royale thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there is, without friendly fire, there's still at the end you get a score, so you can still kind of compete while it's PvE. So,
is the score shared though?
I thought the score was
maybe
shared.
it is. Oh, it might be. I thought it showed you individual scores as well, but maybe not. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll see at the end of this level here.
On this level, we are on Metropolis, and this one is kind of a concrete hovels dotting the landscape here. Though actually, it kind of looks like if you have like a big castle, this looks like the city or like right in front of the castle, where it's like they've kind of built up there, but it's not really fortified. It's just there happens to be some sort of civilization that lives out here. And I think what we're trying to do, if I remember right, is this the one where we have to I think we may need to pick up some more things. I don't remember what the objective is, or if it was just we had to kill
I think we
creatures.
just had to keep killing more and more.
Yeah, I think that one was just kill, and then...
Oh, yeah, because that door opens up, and then we get a long hallway down like the alley of the Metropolis, which is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and at that point is when I was like, I'm just going to speed run past all these guys, and so I wound up on the other side, behind where they're spawning, but then they all turned to me, and it didn't work out.
No, what you did was you just spawned them all for us to kill.
That's true.
That was not cool, because I was like, what is going on here? Yeah, so some of the other monsters, we've talked about those clear skeletons. There's also, we talked about the bull. They're called Syrian Warbles. I believe these things that they walk on 2 legs and they shoot laser beams at you are the biomechanized.
Yeah.
So there's a minor and a major. One is blue and one is red. And so those are pretty cool. Actually, one will shoot rockets at you. So I think the blue ones shoot lasers, and then the red ones shoot rockets, I think.
That's kind of what I remember. They're basically like organic, like ATST mech type things. And it's kind of weird, the organic metal mix. It's like
the top of them just look like a big brain going over the
Krang.
Yeah, Krang. Yes.
I did want to mention that in one of the earlier levels, there was like some kind of raised stuff in the corners, and at that point in the game, I started doing a lot more rocket jumping. So you could rocket jump up there, and I think from every level that forward from there, I was like, I'm gonna try and rocket jump on everything, and we do even get out of bounds in a couple points. But there's a lot of fun movement options that you have.
I think it wasn't this level. I think it was a nighttime level. I got launched out of bounds outside of the walls of the city, and a good 5 minutes I was going, well, I don't know how to get back in. I think eventually I was able to
blow yourself up.
I think eventually I blew myself up and was able to get... No, I did that, and it spawned me back outside of the walls.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
No. It took until you guys progressed far enough that it actually pulled me back in, because this did have kind of a mechanic that it kind of caught everyone back up at certain checkpoints.
There are about 30 harpies in the air, and they shoot these beautiful blue bolts, but this honestly looks like a space battle. When you're looking up, you just see all these lasers going all everywhere.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So yeah, we are just in another big arena here, and they're spawning tons of bulls there. I think we are on the verge of getting my favorite weapon, the cannon, the SBC cannon, which basically shoots giant cannonballs or bowling balls or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Seems like they're massive cannonballs, but yeah, it's a really fun weapon once we grab it here.
Once we get it, I think that's going to be another one or two levels because I think we're on Metropolis still and trying to open up into the Alley of the Sphinx. One of the other things I wanted to note here is the demo that was released with the game. Very interesting. So first of all, it's a one level and it's 40 minutes, and it's actually one of the last levels in the game and probably one of the best levels, which is probably why they distributed that out for people to play. But they also changed a lot of the enemies that spawn, so I thought that was kind of cool. Oh yeah, I did just see that I was playing as a Santa. I forgot about that. And then I guess Alamaxia, you were playing as like a disco character, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, now here we got the Egyptian nighttime thing in level 10 Alley of the Sphinxes. Of the Sphinx. And this is the one where you can clearly see the direction you need to go. You need to go to this large building that looks like an Egyptian city, of course, but you can also turn around and just run. And I edited that from the video there. But yeah, you can run over a hill. You climb over the hill. I was like, oh man, I'm totally going to find a secret back here. And then you eventually just run over to an invisible wall. I was like, why didn't you make the invisible wall the mountain, guys?
Get your hopes up. That's exactly why.
Yeah, it certainly did. And this is the one where we found, I wasn't sure if this was actually an infinite spawner or it eventually would stop, but we did find next to one of these pillars something that kept spawning these clear skeletons. And it sure seemed like it was an infinite spawner because they just kept dropping. They kept dropping. And we're like, maybe we should just run. And so we eventually did that.
I do remember us spending a lot of time out in this courtyard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and this is why, because we got ourselves a cannon.
There it is.
This was great. Just like three cannonballs from all you guys just kind of rolling down the aisle. That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty much an instant kill on almost all the enemies, and
especially the bull. Like,
the
those things
like
to clump up, and just like shooting one cannonball at those bulls. That was great.
Yeah, and it has the two modes. Like you've got like basically just a giant ball that rolls that eventually explodes, and then you can charge it up, and then you
can charge it up.
It would shoot a more direct, like fiery cannonball that would explode on impact. I personally liked the regular cannonball just because it felt like bowling. So you would just line up a bunch of enemies and just through them all.
One of the things that was dangerous, though, is if you do the bowling, if it doesn't hit anything, it'll just kind of sit there and then explode when something touches it. And so with 3 different cannonballs on the battlefield, you're never sure, like, which one did I fire and which one was Lobos' fire.
I bet that would get real messy with full friendly fire on.
Or end with 16 people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think at one point I was just firing the cannon in random directions later on because we were so surrounded. Just figure, they're gonna bounce around and take out at least 5 enemies each. Let's just.
So we're in another of the good old arenas, and they're kind of being more blatant about it now, right? Because before it was like, oh, you're in the dunes and there's a couple trees here, and you just have to fight a bunch of enemies. But in that room we were just in, is like, no, this is literally just a square concrete area with monsters spawning. And when it's actually kind of comical when you think about it. They don't really try to explain away any of the spawning. They just pop a monster in.
Yeah.
There's no VFX. There's no fanfare. It's just like, boom, monster spawning. And okay, so here's my explanation for that. If we have that time lock device, maybe they do too, and they're like actually spawning from the time lock. I don't know, sending people back in time.
Maybe
just beaming down from a mothership or something.
Or well, there's no mothership yet, but we'll get there. Now we are near the end of the level here, and this is a part where I think this is all the elements we've been collecting. I think this is where we put them on a couple pedestals. So they're spread out at 4 different corners of this arena, and I believe that every time you place one of the elements, it spawns another wave of enemies. But I don't think we really waited It's not like we.
No, I don't think we did either. And I remember we were having some trouble getting them to actually fully activate because, like, I think 3 of them were done.
3 of them were done, and we're like, "What is? Did someone not put theirs down?" I'm not sure. I don't ever see where I looked in the video. I didn't ever see an acknowledgement that all of them were put down. But suffice to say, it did put them down, and then we get to the next area, and we're kind of moseying on along, and this huge fire elemental, it's technically called a lava golem, spawns. And so remember we were talking about those huge Goro things that were probably like 20 times the size of Sam? These are probably like 40 times the size of Sam. And when you kill the big one, they blow up into smaller ones. Yeah. And so I think there's 2 times that does that. So it goes like from large to medium and then small. And each time it divides, it multiplies, yeah. But that was a cool enemy. I thought that was a lot of fun. And also a good target for those bowling balls coming at them. Right?
They're rolling all over the place there. Yeah.
Yeah. That big molten elemental just reminded me of Ragnaros from World of Warcraft. In my head, I was just going, by fire be purged.
Right.
Yeah, it certainly looks like it. It's just a big, they just have a bunch of like scrolling UVs there on that texture, just like it got that shimmering fire look to it. All right, now we're going into Carnac, which is a level 11. And I wonder if this is the one...
where we skipped?
Okay, we'll see here. Okay, no, this is the one where I think... All right, so you guys think you skipped, but I'm actually... I'm actually thinking that is the way you were supposed to beat this level. So there's these ledges that you can rocket jump up to. And I feel like that was the intentional way to get up there. I guess we'll find out here in a minute.
I just feel like, well, I mean, I guess you could get soft locked if you don't have rockets, right? But I don't know. Maybe they just throw a ton of rockets at you.
True. Not sure. Yeah. Oh no, this isn't the level. This is all right. So this is Carnac. This is the demo level. So again, if you were to go download the demo of this game, you would be playing this level. But as you see here, we have the lava golems, and those do not spawn in the demo. And actually, the demo is also a different time of day.
Interesting.
So it's more of a.
I'm wanting to say
like
that
10 a.m. sort of
first level of the game is in the same place as this. Like I think this is. I remember us actually playing through the same places a couple of times.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Well, in any case, even if they reuse this area, the actual mechanics of beating the level here are the same as the demo, because there's a door that's locked, and you have to flip these 2 switches to bring these 2 Sphinx next to each other. They're like almost like sarcophagus with a Sphinx on top of them. And when they come face to face, they like spit out sand, and that fills in this area which has spikes that you couldn't normally cross. And so once those spikes are filled in with sand, now you can go on to the next door. And so yeah, that is absolutely what the demo does. And then once you go on past that area, same thing. The same areas are there, including this area here. I think Alamaxia, you took this trap also, right?
Yep.
So I think, do you remember what happens here? I remember, but I want to see if you can describe it.
Inside, it was pitch black. They turned off all lights, and they were just spawning clears. They're spawning everything that we've seen up until now, except for the massive giant Goro guys. I think there might have even been like a green Goro boy in there, and it was really neat because of the way lighting is done in this game. At times, the entire room would just light up. If I got out my that little X-wing laser shooter, gun, the whole room was just you see green lasers and bursts of light. It was so cool looking.
I remember on the outer side of that room, there were these windows that we were like, "Oh, are we gonna rocket jump out here?" I think this was the level that we got out of bounds, and we were helping Wiz, who was in a room all by himself, one of those huge arenas, and we were up on the walls, just like, "All right,
yes,
we'll help over here."
Yeah.
This area is absolutely gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of the Washington Monument.
Oh yeah.
Where it's got a very long square pool area with a large monolith on the side or in the middle there. And of course, there's a couple different areas you can explore here, but most of it leads to a single tunnel. So the door is locked, but you can use that tunnel to go in and then up and get into the building there, and that's what we got to do. Oh, but I got electrocuted by those fish. So
those fish were nasty.
That's no fun. They got some wicked teeth, right? It's like
they did. They're like piranhas, and they're
piranhas, but they shoot electricity at you.
Yep. It's a bad mix.
Yeah. And I think this is the area that we actually did something that said we activated some sort of... Oh, no, I guess this is it. So we activated a secret switch, and then you go back outside to that monument that we were just at, and here's another one of those examples of the volumetric water, because you're kind of swimming up, you're swimming down and kind of around. Really, really cool here. And let's see... Is this the one with there's like a little shimmering orb thing? Yeah. So inside of here, it's the first of two, at least two that I know of. It almost looks like a big goop of mercury.
Yeah.
And
I remember somebody telling me in the chat that it was basically an Easter egg, as it was like something they used in a tech demo, and they just threw it in the level. I don't know if you know more
weird
specifics.
Alien stuff. Who cares, right? And here's another secret area that we found. It's all jumping in the water. You can...
oh, yeah, this looks cool.
You can find a secret little wall that is discolored. And this one, so you get into this half circle thing, and it actually reminds me... You guys remember Sonic, where you like try to collect the Chaos Emeralds for the bonus level?
Oh, yeah, the bonus.
It's like a spherical level. Yeah, they kind of remind me of that, where there's a bunch of like the little armor plates in the spherical thing, and you run around and get it. And then moving on here, we have the second of the arenas that has just a ton of those marsh frogs there with that same boss thing. And I think it's just comical looking at the ground here, just how much blood and gore is just splattered all over the floor. It was just, not anymore because it's been cleaned up. But they have fast custodians here. But it's just a mess of...
I think I kind of accidentally did the whole thing with the bowls crashing into the wall and giving us access. That was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, they have this thing called... let's see if I can get the name right. It's a thing that like communicates with you. Like Nestia or something like that. Anyway, you can scan things. That's Netrixa. Netrixa.
Triska?
I don't know. I get Anyway, it stands for something. I'm not sure, but it's basically the voice in your head.
Okay.
And it is it allows you to actually scan things and weapons and enemies. We haven't chatted about that at all.
Yeah,
Lobos, as the resident lore expert, you want to talk about how that system works?
So the ancient aliens had a bestiary, and you need to fill... No, I don't know what the lore is, but there was basically a bestiary.
I'm pretty sure that's right. That's canon.
Yeah, just as you, I think, kill things, if you land the killing blow, I think you would get an entry for whatever that is you killed, as well as a bunch of other things. I don't remember exactly.
You can sometimes scan doors and switches, and that door you're talking about with the bull that crashed through. I think it says something like, "Oh, this door can't be opened by conventional means," and then it just so happens that a bunch of those bulls come and allow you to sidestep them, and they'll crash through the door.
Gotcha.
They'll give you the lowdown on your weapons, and they'll show 3D models of the enemies, and they'll kind of explain the plot, but who's got time to read here?
This is the one that we definitely, quote unquote, skipped on, where we rocket jumped onto a little side ledge, and then the whole point was to go into these two rooms and collect, what was it, a feather and...
Yeah, you have to collect a feather and then something else.
And then it would open like the main chamber door. So here we're rocket jumping up. I guess that, I don't know, like...
I couldn't find a way in. The only way I could figure out how to get in here is rocket.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well, it puts a lot of, faith in the player to be able to make that call and the jump.
The game truly built for Lobos.
I wonder if they just assume the player has blown themselves up enough by this time that they kind of figured out they can launch themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
there was something really cool. There was a large pit there.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if Lobos, you jumped down on purpose or you got pushed down, but I saw you go in, and then on the chat, it actually said Lobos discovered the secret. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to jump in there too. And sure enough, it brings you to a little secret area here.
Oh, man.
Now, this is a monument we are erecting out of the Earth itself. It almost looks like a missile.
That's
or
what
like a spaceship we're priming.
That's what I felt like when I saw that happening. I was like, we're going to launch a rocket.
Felt very Planet of
And
the
this
Apes
is-
too. If anyone's seen that one,
I've not seen the second one.
it's
no.
horrible.
Okay.
I think this is Luxor. Yeah, I think this is Luxor. And actually what you have is you have two of these pillars which you have summoned, and they begin to actually open up and start glowing. They almost look like they're homing. If I know any better, I'd say it's looking for a mothership to call in, right?
Big beacon.
Yeah, big beacon.
You
It
know,
says, "Come on down here."
I have to say, I've been to the Luxor in Vegas, and I don't remember this at all. Like, I don't know.
Well, I think it's the other way around. I think Luxor failed to make their stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, so there is a secret level on Luxor called the Sacred Yards. Again, we didn't get there. I'm not sure how to get there, but the last level we made it to is the Great Pyramid. This is a cool level that starts out kind of lame because you enter in just a huge arena, and you
Go
just got to
figure.
sit there and fight. Oh, like it's basically there's 12 different entrances for monsters. And I had joked around that it's basically like a designer figured out how to like cut and paste or hit the multiply button, because it doesn't stop. There's just tons of monsters that
lot.
come out, and they just keep coming. And it's like, all right, well, first you're gonna fight the you're gonna fight the clear skeletons, and then you're gonna
Fight the bulls.
fight a bunch of bulls,
yeah.
and then yeah.
It's like
It's
I feel like they just try to go through every permutation or combination of mobs that they could throw at you. It's like they start with one, then that one and another, then that one, another, and another.
Yeah.
I definitely got the sense of kind of flashbacks of like Mega Man boss fights where it's
Right.
like, all right, you got to go fight all the bosses before you can go fight the real boss. It's kind of what it felt like here.
They did have some neat little secrets, though, if you went into the spawning rooms, I think.
Yeah, I think I actually do show this in one of the videos
okay, nice,
here.
nice. And it was
Yeah,
also...
so the
I was going to say it's also kind of nicer in a sense when in this arena, because they give you this constantly respawning like ammo pack and I think
Yeah.
maybe health, so you can just keep going.
but it is shared.
Yeah.
It is
right?
shared.
So you couldn't monopolize, but it was nice because it's like finally I can kind of use these cannons with
Yeah.
reckless abandon, not have to
Yeah.
worry about the ammo. So we are going into each one of these tunnels is very, very dark, but you can see a little shimmer of something in there, one single armor piece. And I go pick it up, and it says, surprise, trap has been activated. And a bunch of those biomechanical ATST walkers, they spawn, but they're made short work of with some cannonballs there.
Right there, when you were looking in the back of that cave, did really kind of showcase how the lighting is affected by the weapons around you. And that's really what I
totally.
was seeing in that completely darkened room. Just everywhere I looked was just pitch black.
Nice.
After you fight all the enemies there, you are literally just teleported out of there. Like you actually fall like a foot or two off the ground here. And here is the final run up to the Great Pyramid. And we were wondering, we're like, hey, was that the end boss? Is that it? And someone in Lobos' chat is like, no, you'll know when you see the end boss. And I think it's safe to say that we know we have found the end boss here.
Yeah, it's basically
We were talking about that.
super Goro that looks
Oh, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like Diablo or something.
This guy's name is Zon III,
Oh.
the Vicious Warlock.
The third. Dang.
Yeah. And so we see this dude. We were previously talking about that lava beast being like 40 times the size of Sirius Sam. I'd say this guy's more like 80 times. So he's probably like double the size of that lava thing.
He's a big
He's
boy.
big. And it was really cool because I saw him I was like, holy crap, look at this. And then I'm like, guys, dude, there's a mothership coming out of like from behind him.
Yeah.
So you've got this big devilish Goro beast that is coming at you, and this mothership that was coming at him. And meanwhile, there's a health bar, and so we're just unloading him. Like this is straight up Independence Day style mothership stuff going on, right?
Yeah, and we were like, we have this in the bag. Like he's almost dead.
Yeah.
And then he decides to heal all the way to full. Not to full, but he heals up.
And so we're like, all right, what do you got to kill? Do you got to kill a mothership? What's going on? We probably spent 10 minutes trying to damage that guy. And they're like, all right, there's got to be something else, right? So you run up to the pyramid and you see this ball of energy. And you're like, all right, that's got to be it. You step into it and you're put in your last final arena. This is an interesting fight. Alamaxia, do you want to walk us through how this works?
This fight, we started out just kind of pelting away at him and not really finding much headway because he kept regenerating. But around the room, there are these circular energy platforms that are hovering above the ground. And in the middle of the room, there is a circle of light. And what I learned that this actually is through the lore is this is the transport system to get someone onto the mothership. And and what you're supposed to do is we have these ramps that launch us really high and really far, and we drop into the ring of light, which is I guess one of the 4 keys to getting the mothership to do its transport. Once you unlock all 4 of them, then the mothership will shoot down a beam into the center. And if you are one of the races that is authorized to get onto this ship, it'll transport you up. If you are Uxan, and you are not also one of those races, then it won't transport you and will instead just do a little body disintegration.
Nice.
Oh, how do you become authorized to... So this mothership is not on the same side as Ugh?
From what I was reading in the lore, no. This guy, like, this particular guy's race was not authorized to be on this ship, and that's the reason why this ship was fired on him.
Well, he's kind of like a demon. Maybe it's like aliens versus demons going on.
Well, he is very big. Like, if he were to go in the ship, he would probably blow it up.
Yeah.
Because he's a pretty big boy.
That's true.
Probably a good reason not to be on the ship.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we did this a couple times to try to... So we knocked down a shield. That's what the we activated those 4 keys a couple times, but he was never in the right location. So it took us a couple tries to get him in the center. It's kind of like a little bit of a kiting him, like World of Warcraft style, like pull him over here, make sure he's in the thing, then activate it.
I feel like we figured this guy out a lot quicker than even just figuring out how to get into the room.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because you never know. It's like maybe he regens himself like 10 times and then that's it, or whatever. And who knows? Maybe you just keep killing other enemies. But we did it.
That is it. Thank you so much. We got a cool little video here thanking all of our Patreon supporters. If you're a supporter for April, your name is listed right here. And so that's a cool little new thing that we've added. I think I want to do that going forward, just so we can get some... I actually want to add some more fanfare to this, but this is kind of a first draft. So hopefully that was interesting and cool.
Thank you, everyone.
And that was Serious Sam. Fun little game. It was pretty quick. Probably, 4.5, 5 hours co-op there?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a long playthrough, but it's one that I think I'd have fun playing through again.
I have
a group of friends that I know they play Serious Sam, so now I need to go get all the others and play through those with them, because they're like, what? You played the first one? You have to play the rest of them now.
Nice.
The second one, it takes that tongue-in-cheek humor, and I think it cranks it up to 11.
Awesome.
So, worth checking out. All right, as we previously saw, we want to really thank the Patreons for your support in making this episode possible. We got another... On the hot streak of Patreons, we got a new one. Hey. I'm So Dan. So thank you, So Dan, for your support.
Nice.
Continuing on that streak, of I think it's like 6 months in a row. It's got to stop somewhere, but I don't want it to stop next month. So let's see if we can get someone else there to sign up. And if you are interested in signing up, you can head over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Gaming Show to learn more, including our bonus goal of playing Earthbound and doing like a 2-hour long episode on that. So that should be pretty interesting. Before we get going and moving on, though, do we have any closing thoughts here, Alamaxia, Lobos, you want to kind of chat about with your time here in Sirius, Sam?
I think I kind of already said my piece in that I loved the game. I am really looking forward to playing more of them. The overall just smoothness of not only the graphics, but how the game just continually ramped up that difficulty and just had more and more and more just enemies throwing at you. I loved it. Mm-hmm. Loved it so much. I can't wait to do the others.
Oh man.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just fun run and gun gameplay, you know, you don't have to really think too much. You just get ammo and use ammo, and that's it. And don't die. But it's a lot of fun.
And I think we didn't mention it, as we tend to forget many games, but that's kind of a banging soundtrack. I think
True.
I think it's gonna. It might be up for discussion here in our 2001 Game of the Year awards. I think someone might put that on there.
I was listening
as a potential
to the
for best music
to prepare me for this podcast. That's a really good call out.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, sadly, that is going to be it for Sirius Sam, the first encounter. So thank you so much to everyone for listening to us on the podcast or watching us on YouTube.
So we hunted for a handful of secrets in here and such. Is there another game we can play that just is we're just going to play the entire game looking for little things?
Oh yes, I think you're talking about Myst III Exile. Exactly. Yeah, that is the next game we're playing. I think this is really I'm really excited about this one because Myst 1 and 2 we have been able to be played by our rules of 20-year-old games or more for a while now. Myst 3 just became eligible this year, 2021, as Myst 3 was released in 2021. But going forward, like Myst 4, we'll have to actually kind of wait. So we won't get to see the exciting conclusion to the story for a couple years. I'm not sure exactly when it came out, but suffice to say, Myst 3 looks beautiful. I've been playing it. It's lots of fun. And it's going to be Lobos and I. Alamaxia, you haven't played 1 and 2, so you're going to sit this one out.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine. He's gonna gun up for the next episode, which we're not going to talk about yet. But we'll see him again here in June.
But remember, we release a new podcast monthly. So follow and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google, or whatever your platform of choice is.
Yeah, and hey, if you're listening to us on a platform that allows you to rate us, please do so. It helps us out and allows us to continue growing and sharing our content with fine folks such as yourself.
And all of our episodes, our contact info and information you can find on SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com.
And of course, we got a special shout out to TechnoAxe for much of the music on this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
And I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in May with Myst III Exile for the PC.
Bye.